it's like it's a really fun one to roll around on. Do you find yourself playing through stick control and feel pretty good for exercises 1 through 5, and then as soon as you hit exercise 6, it all goes out the window? Well, I wanted to go ahead and do a quick little lesson on number 6, which is the first inverted paradiddle that we find. Number 5 is a regular paradiddle, of course, right, left, left, right, left. Number 6 is the first inversion of that paradiddle, so it's right, left, right, left. Now, that is not a pattern that most of us are familiar with. However, it's a great pattern. Once you really get the hang of it and you can start to play it faster, you can move it around a lot faster, like, it's like it's a really fun one to roll around on. So I wanted to take some time. The first thing that I would do if I were practicing this is I would take my metronome, first thing always, and I would set it at a comfortable speed. I would start by going right, left, right, left, right. But if that's too fast for you, half the speed. And it might be kind of painfully slow. Now, it turns out it is much more difficult to play slow than it is to play fast sometimes, because there's all this space in between. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right. So I'm just going to hang out here for a while so we can really just get the hang of it. Because a lot of this is really just muscle memory. And because we're programming a new pattern into our brain, the slower you do it, the more points of contact you have. And what I mean by that is there's just more space and time for you to be processing what the pattern is. And those patterns, because we're practicing them slow, eventually we'll play them faster. And there's really no reason to play anything faster than you can play it comfortably. And if it's hard, sometimes it's like harder to play it slow, right? That's a good sign though, because that means there's more work to be done. Right, left, right, left. And I'm doing my best to do nice full strokes here, returning all the way to the top after each stroke. Nobody's perfect, but I'm doing my best. And you might notice that there's like one spot that's the most difficult. For me, it's that first double on the left. So I might pay extra attention to that second one of the two on the left. Right, left, right, left. And I would like to remind you that we don't just practice slow because someday we want to play fast. Practicing slow, sometimes songs are slow. And if you can't play slow, it'll be really obvious because the song will start to speed up, which is not what you want when you're playing a nice slow song. So this tempo right here might seem really slow, but there are songs that are this tempo. And the more comfortable you can get at a slow tempo, the more comfortable you'll be once the tempo is sped up. And again, no one's trying to be perfect here. We're just trying to relax and get closer to our goal, which is to play nice and steady. Open, relaxed. Right, left, right, left. And play along with me if you can. If this is still too fast, you can always slow the video down. If you're bored by this and you want to do it faster, you can speed the video up. But I would encourage you to stick with it slow. There's always more you can learn. Even as a more advanced player, some of the most advanced players practice really slow. And then to the outside ear, it sounds like they're so smooth. And a lot of that is because they've taken the time to relax into these slower tempos. You might be looking at your stick heights, seeing if you can get them both up to the same spot. Again, that's just an ideal. Nobody's really judging you or examining your stick heights. This is just us trying to get more and more relaxed, steady. You might notice that sometimes you're a little ahead of the beat, sometimes you're a little behind the beat. Again, don't get too wrapped up in it. Just keep going for it, you know? We're just trying to get closer and closer. You might never get there. It might not ever be perfect. Who knows? I certainly haven't gotten there. But I'm doing all right for myself. So turns out you don't have to be perfect to have a really great time playing music. And if you can find the joy even in something very simple at a slow tempo, that will do so much for your playing overall, because so much of a drummer's gig is playing something repetitive and not something super flashy or fast, but often something very simple and slow that someone else can tell a story over, or that someone else can take a solo over. And you'll notice this thing will happen if you start playing really nice and steady. The people around you will start to trust you in a way that they can now stretch out and expand and play even more interesting things. And they don't have to wonder if you're going to show up on the next downbeat, because you always do. It's a really special thing when a drummer can learn to play nice and steady without trying to show off all their chops. Right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. And when you're playing nice and slow, there's all this space. And if you practice slow, your playing will have that nice open space in it, even once you're playing faster. You see really great drummers and it looks like their sticks are just flying, floating through the air. And that's because a lot of times they've taken the time to go really slow and get all that space in between notes to sound nice and relaxed, and open. And there isn't necessarily an end goal all the time, you know? Sometimes it is really just, I'm practicing number 6 right now. Not so that I can be the world's fastest or most impressive drummer, but because in beat number 6, there's still stuff there for me to work out. But this is the spot where this is the first place that a lot of people will trip up, because most of us have spent a little bit of time doing paradiddles, so that one's a little bit easier, and this one kind of throws us for a loop. So I thought it'd be really nice to slow it down, take you through a nice, open, muscle building, muscle memory programming session. And maybe later we'll speed it up. But there's really so much to be gained from just going nice and slow. You know, you can hear me, not every hit is perfect. And that's okay. It's part of just practice, you know? We're going slow. We're doing our best to be nice and steady. And that patience, that relaxation, that openness, that time, it will translate in your playing. You'll sound like a much more patient, relaxed, open drummer. Now you might start to find that you notice some pain or some tension, and you don't necessarily have to fix anything right away. Just take some breaths. Think about if there's any place you can relax. If there's any place that you're doing too much. Maybe you check in with your feet. Put them firmly below you. Like for me, my feet are doing something kind of goofy because they're just in between my pedals right now. So that's maybe something that I would do, is just like readjust. You know, maybe you're noticing your back, or, you know, somewhere in your forearm, or in your bicep even, or in your wrists or your hands. And again, we don't have to solve all of our problems right away. Sometimes just taking the time to slow down. Sometimes just taking the time to slow down is enough to show us where we need a little bit of extra patience and time. But this is what I talk about when I'm telling people, you know, practice slow, and people don't know what I'm talking about. Sometimes they go, yeah, slow it down, okay. But I mean literally very slow, very steady, patient, kind. We're not rushing to get somewhere. We're taking our time. We're just programming this pattern into our muscles, into our brain. You got plenty of time to speed it up whenever the time comes. But you know what's even more challenging is after you feel really comfortable and you're like, yeah, I can do this. I would encourage you to see if you can do it even slower. I'm telling you, it's harder than doing it fast. And you might notice that my resting position is up. My sticks are up in my resting position. You might have a different way of resting. I like to do that because if you're thinking about like a piston stroke or a stop at the top, as they say, you're really trying to be efficient with your energy so that you're throwing the stick down and it's bouncing right back up. And then you don't have to lift it up any higher. And of course, you know, nobody's perfect. We're all aiming for, you know, closer and closer to steady and even. But if your resting position is up, you don't have to lift your stick up any further to get that full stroke. And theoretically, if you're throwing your tip of your stick down with enough force, it'll bounce back up without you having to do too much extra to lift it. So thank you for taking the patience to sit here and play number 6 nice and slow. Maybe it's a little less scary than when it started out. Maybe at first you were like, that one, I can't wrap my brain around it. It's too confusing. But maybe now you're going, okay, I'm getting the hang of it. Maybe you're totally lost and you're like, where's downbeat? Where's 1? That's okay too. Go back to the start of the beginning of the video. Try again. Keep going. We're going right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right. And maybe you're watching this and you're going, I already know how to do this. What's the point? I don't know, do something else then. This is for those of you who want to get closer with this pattern. Don't want to be stuck when you catch number 6 coming up on stick control. Okay, now for fun, that was great. Thank you for that steady, patient practice. I'm going to double the speed, so it's going to sound like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and right, left, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Now, oftentimes when you speed something up, your instinct is to tense up a little bit. That's okay, that's normal. Once you get into the swing of it, see if you can relax again. Keep that nice open feeling that we had before, where we didn't feel like we had to go too fast. Because again, if you can do it nice and steady, and if this is too fast, you can always slow the video down. But if this feels nice, we're just going to hang out here for a while. Because there's always, like, okay, maybe you're doing it fine, right? But you get a couple minutes in and you go, oh, I'm tensing up my left shoulder or something. And again, we're programming this beat into our brains, into our muscle memory. It's not time wasted. It's really valuable time just getting comfortable with the pattern. This pattern shows up all over the place in different types of beats, whether you're consciously aware of it or not. So it's good to take the time and really just iron out those little wrinkles. And again, we're not just practicing the pattern. We're practicing being relaxed. We're practicing our full strokes. We're practicing being open. Maybe you're practicing breathing. And maybe you can do it twice this fast, but there's still more to be learned at this speed. I know I always am learning more when I'm playing slow. I'm never too good to play slow. Maybe for you this is fast, which is totally fine. Someday maybe this will feel slow. If you take the time and you keep working through these things at these nice steady slow tempos, eventually the headroom that you have in your tempos will increase. And again, if you can't do this nice and relaxed, go back, keep doing it slow. Or, keep trying to play it a little faster than you can. But a lot of times, if you're practicing something that's like a little bit too fast, you're not really doing yourself a favor because you're practicing something with extra tension in it. And sometimes it takes a few minutes for you to be able to relax and to pay attention to what's actually happening. Maybe your mind starts to wander at first and you don't realize that your stick heights are doing totally different things, or that you're rushing or dragging. So a little patience goes a long way. But hopefully this is helping you with a pattern that if it was difficult before, hopefully it's a little bit easier than it was. And if it's still really difficult, again, you can go back, you can listen to the video at slower speed. Maybe after this section, I'll go even twice as fast as this for anyone who feels like they want to do it twice as fast. And of course, no pressure. There's never any pressure to play any faster than you can play comfortably. Because again, any tension that you practice will show up in your playing. So you want to practice things nice and slow and even, because that's how it'll sound even when you're playing really fast. That's when people say, oh, you sound so effortless or so smooth, or it just flows so naturally. A lot of that comes from really nice, slow, steady practice. And then when those slow, steady patterns are accelerated, that feeling kind of stays. That feeling of openness, and there's plenty of space here. We're not rushing, we're just placing everything right on the beat. Again, if this is too fast, you can slow the video down. Or you can even practice it half as fast while I'm playing it twice as fast. That's a little bit of a mind exercise, so if you can do it, great. Right, left, left, right, left, right, right. 1, 2, 3, 4. You might notice some of the time your sticks get a little wobbly when you're holding it up. That's okay. Nobody's perfect. We're just getting closer and closer to nice and steady. You'll notice I still have that too. Sometimes my sticks get a little wobbly. Sometimes I'm a little ahead of the beat or behind. No one is expecting perfection here, right? We're just working. We're enjoying the ride. You know, and your practice doesn't have to be like, you don't have to be hard on yourself about things not sounding good right away. There's plenty of time to improve. You're exactly where you're at, and that's perfect. If you want to be better, you keep working. If you're happy where you're at, great. Keep playing. But there's a good chance that you want to be better, and that's why you're working on this. So good for you for doing it. This is good work. It's important. And I'm serious. This is how I practice. I practice slow and steady and open. I practice one thing at a time a lot of the times. Just really zooming in on something very simple. Again, if you're feeling any pain or tension, see if you can breathe, relax, check in with your alignment. You know, for me right now, the way that I'm sitting, my legs are a little bit to the left of my center, so that results in my back feeling a little bit of tension because I'm turning slightly to the right from where my legs are. So what I might do is try and center myself a little bit more. It's kind of tough because I got my pedals in the way, which is one of the reasons I really encourage people to practice these things, practice pad exercises standing up if you can. Because we have these patterns, these ways of sitting. Like if you're used to sitting kind of slouched over, chances are that's how you'll practice. And so sometimes I encourage people to stand, get your feet up underneath you. See if you can get your feet below your knees, below your hips, below your lumbar spine, below your shoulders, below your skull. If they're all in perfect alignment, nobody's perfect, but if they're all stacked on top of each other, you don't have to work as hard to keep yourself upright. A lot of the tension you'll find is because you're trying to use muscles to hold yourself upright, when really that same effect could be achieved with better balance. Your head is actually pretty heavy. I don't know the exact number on it, but I think your head weighs like 8 pounds or something. And as you move your head forward, that weight gets transferred. So now that your muscles are having to hold that up. But if you can get your skull stacked right on top of the rest of your joints going from the top to bottom, you don't have to do quite as much work in your back or your neck or your shoulders or your legs or wherever to keep yourself steady. Right, left, left, right, left, right. Again, we're programming this beat into our brains. You're physically developing new connections in your brain when you start a new pattern. And that takes time. It really does. Like, it just takes a lot of repetition. So doing something for a long time like this can be really helpful to kind of clear out all the things maybe that are in the way of this new pattern becoming a second nature. Hopefully by the end of this video, if you've been playing along, that pattern that we started out with, if it was a little difficult at first, it's hopefully a little easier. Okay, so I would love to encourage you to continue practicing nice and slow. If that tempo was comfortable, that's a great place to practice it. If that first tempo was still challenging, that's great. That means you've got more work to do there, and there's more time you can spend just nice and relaxed, playing very slow and open. If you'd like to play twice as fast as we were just playing, we can do that. Now, you might find that at those slower tempos, you were able to get a nice full stroke, and as it gets faster, you don't get quite as much distance traveling, and you don't get your sticks all the way back up. That's okay. You still kind of, if you can, try and see how much lift you can get out of them. Ideally, as your stick bounces and comes back up, it comes all the way up. So we're going to do this again twice as fast as that. Okay? One, and so it would be right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. Now, for some of you, that's easy, and you could totally do it. For some of you, that's absolutely not. There's no way. Either way is great. You are exactly where you're at, and that's exactly where you're supposed to be. If you want to advance, you keep working. If you're happy where you're at, great, keep playing. But here we go. So right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left. And again, if you can, nice open strokes, all the way rebounding each time. You might notice at this tempo, you're starting to utilize the bounce of the stick a little bit more for that double. That's great. Let it happen. You might still be using two distinct strokes. I'm kind of still doing two distinct strokes here. It might be a little faster before I start really doing the double. But everyone's different. And you're great right where you're at. So if you can play this, great. If not, go ahead and slow the video down. Right, right, left, right, right, left. Or one and two and two and two. Or one E and a two E and a. And if this is too fast, if you feel like yourself tensing up, stop playing. Or play it half as fast. You can always slow the video down. There's really no reason to practice if it feels tense. If it feels like you're barely hanging in there, then it's not time yet. But if it feels nice and open, then you're great. And there's probably still more to work out here. I know that for me, this is like, you notice I'm having an even harder time talking, right? It's hard to talk and play at the same time. But as I'm getting faster, it's even tougher. So that might be my signal to stop talking and just play for a little bit. So, if that felt nice and easy and comfortable, great, you're in a great place. If that felt like it was too fast, go back, practice it slower. Again, there's no reason to play any faster than you can play comfortably and relaxed. That being said, we could do it twice as fast as that. And now that one might be legitimately too fast, maybe even for me. We're about to find out. But we're going to try it anyways because just for the fun of it, this is a really great pattern, and there's always more to be gained from it. We haven't even started moving it around the drum kit or all the cool different ways that you can incorporate this pattern into beats or fills. But just for fun, twice as fast as that, I'm definitely going to have to be starting to utilize some of the bounce. I'm almost certainly going to have a hard time speaking while doing that, but maybe not, we'll see. But I'm just going to try it. So it's going to be, I probably can't even say the pattern as fast as I'm going to play it, but I'll just play it for you. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And I can tell at that tempo I end up doing a little bit of an accent. not nearly as much rebound. Maybe I could get a little more rebound though. So that's number 6 from Stick Control, page 1. I hope this has helped you get a little bit closer to feeling comfortable with it. And again, there's no right or wrong in terms of how fast you were able to do it. If you are comfortable doing it at the slowest tempo and the second one was too fast, that's totally fine. That means there's plenty more to learn from that slow tempo. If you were able to go all the way to that fast one, but you felt a little bit tense at the end, then still go back, practice it even slower. Personally, for me, I probably would practice it at that second tempo for longer. Maybe the third tempo. The fourth tempo, I would probably wait. I would honestly probably wait to do that until I had practiced the third one a little bit longer. I wanted to do it with you all just so you had a reference to play along with in case that's where you're at. But again, there's no right or wrong. There's no, oh, I should be faster or I shouldn't be struggling this much. You are exactly where you're meant to be. And, you know, where you're at is often a direct representation of the work that you've done so far. So if you feel like you should be better, maybe you just need to do more work. There's nothing wrong with that. We all have more work to do. Congrats if you were able to play it at the super fast speed. And if that's a goal of yours, then keep coming back, keep practicing this. And eventually, you know, you'll be adding it back in context to the stick control, where you're playing the whole page. Maybe this unlocks some things for you. Maybe it's still really confusing. Either way, that's totally fine. But hopefully this got you a little bit closer to understanding that pattern and making it a little bit less scary and confusing. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like or share. Come back and play it as often as is helpful to you. If you'd like to do a personal session with me, you can find my lessons scheduling app in the link below, or you can go to heatherthomasmusic.com. You can also find it there. And if you're on Instagram, follow me as Heather on Drums. And thank you for practicing with me. I hope this was helpful, and I hope that you come back to it anytime you need to relax and practice something nice and loose and open. Happy drumming. Thank you. Thank you.